Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is SlammerIV, and I'm very excited to bring to you a very exciting Littlewargame 1v1 matchup between myself in the bottom left. In the red versus Rhinus, the Mech memester, in the top right. Just as we can see here, we got the beautiful Christmas-themed gold mines and presents getting set up here. And hopefully this will be a good video for you guys. I'm going to showcase some Rax versus Mech gameplay here, which I am not sure how much I have shown on my channel, so I figured this could be a decent game to showcase. I'm going for a 1 Rax expand, so just to quickly back it up, if you guys don't know how to do this, you make 2 workers, then you make the house at 9 supply, continually make workers and build the Rax as soon as your house is done. It's a really solid standard 1 Rax expand. You should copy this build if you are a new player and you don't know build orders very well. It's very simple. You should be able to do it. No problem. Rhinus, on the other hand, is going for the 1 workshop expand, which is kind of the Mech equivalent of this barracks play, where you just get the single workshop out, you get a single Gatling gun out, and you live your best life. So we've got a scout coming from Rhinus. He's going to figure out what's going on, whereas I'm just going for the quick raider. Nothing too exciting is going to happen here, so we're going to speed up the time compression here for a second. I didn't see his worker there, so I didn't understand how he knew he was raiders, but he snuck it by here. Small misplacement by his cannon here. He should have it a little bit below the worker, particularly so. Like in general, you might as well want the raider to walk around the top anyway, then hit the south. So I am able to pull off a worker snipe there, which is pretty nice. And I believe I'm also going to kill his worker down here. So if we look at the units tab, I'm already up that 1 worker, which will soon be another worker because he's going to lose the scouting one. That's the disadvantage going for the scout that he went for, is you do sacrifice the worker basically against most build orders. Unless you're playing against Mech, then you can just run away back home. But if you're playing Beast or Rax, you're basically going to lose that worker 9 out of 10 times. So it's kind of a risky, or maybe not risky is not the right word, it's just kind of a dedicated play that can cost you some units. So behind here I'm just expanding normally. Notice I transfer those workers. Another good thing for new players to learn is you always want to transfer because your first 3 workers are more efficient at mining gold. So always do that. This is an interesting move out. He decides to push with like 2 Gats here, which is pretty risky. Generally in these kind of situations, there's a 1-to-1 ratio where 1 raider will kill 1 Gatling, 2 raiders will kill 2 Gatlings, as long as they're not repaired. So that was a pretty big misplay from him there to push there, and it's going to cause some major pain for him because my raiders are now going to have free reign to do a lot of damage to his forces. I've already picked off 1 worker. I think I get a couple more here because he doesn't really have any units to protect his worker line right now. Fortunately, he does get the Gat out just in time, but that's not before I snipe a couple more units there and I get out with my raiders. So this is a really basically game-ending situation for him. He's 18 workers to 13. Just complete disaster here from the Mech player. And once you're in this kind of situation as Rax, you basically just win. But you have to, keep playing it out in the correct way. I'm going to take a 3rd base, which if you can take that early 3rd base against Mech, you're very happy because it just allows you to do whatever you want really at that point. He's blocking off with the catapult, making it very tough for me to do any damage more, but I'm very happy just to kind of keep hiding here, force some repair, force some mining time lost, keep macroing up workers behind, and expand to that 3rd base. I've got a 6 worker advantage, which is just brutal this stage of the game. I think I get maybe one or 2 more workers killed here. So just a complete massive advantage for me right here as the Rax player. He's going for the triple workshop, 2 base play here. He's going to go for that drop, which is his one kind of way back into the game, is if he can get some massive drop damage. So I'm going to talk a little bit about drop defense. One of the things that I've already done is I've got the advanced workshop out. Getting an advanced workshop with a ballista is one pretty clean way to deal with the drops, and it also can deal with gyros if your opponent decides to go for gyros. But the main thing is just kind of see it happening and pull workers so that you're not stacking up and allowing big rocks to hit you. And then of course just trying to deal with the dropship first before targeting the catapults. You know, just spreading the archers out a little bit to try to counter that as much as possible. Meanwhile, I'm just kind of keeping my units in position down here to try to scout for when he takes that third base. He does pick off these raiders with his gatlings there, which is a nice play for him, but I pick off a house. So I really like the advanced workshop play with racks against Mech. I think it's really great for dropping. You know, if you can drop in the back, for example, it's really hard for Mech to deal with that kind of pressure on the back. And it's also really good for the head-up fight to be dropping units on top, which you'll see a little bit later in this game. So at this point, he's taking his third base, trying to macro out a couple more workshops. I'm just adding on more racks and more workers in general. I'm at to 37. I'm going to want to keep going up. Again, 12 workers per mine is ideal. Taking that fourth base. He's going to push with a 3 catapult, couple Gatling squad here. I pick off a couple units in the initial exchange. In retrospect, I probably could have just jumped on and killed this with this drop, but I kind of wanted to just harass him and kind of buy time with my archers as much as possible. So that's the gameplay choice I decided to make here. This is a pretty dangerous push. Catapults really mess archers up, but if you kite properly, you can do good damage. I'm actually getting range pretty fast in this game because my strategy is to use these archers to pick units off and kind of dance back and forth around the Mech play. He kind of gets a pretty strong position up here, and I don't really feel like pushing up a ramp against him. And I'm getting good damage done with my harass force, so I just kind of let him kill the fourth base. Again, just looking at the supplies, I didn't realize quite how far ahead I was, and I probably could have killed this force, honestly. But I just felt like it was a little bit safer to play this way and take my fourth base on this side of the map, which is kind of what I end up doing. Because you never want to like run into a bunch of catapults and just totally get destroyed, because that can really be a disastrous situation that you know you don't want to be in, right? But once again, I pick off some units up top, and I'm just able to focus down a ton of workers and just disrupt his mining pretty significantly. He does get a ballast out to deal with the dropship, which is pretty nice by him. At the end of the day, it's not going to really help that much. So I'm adding on those range upgrades to improve my rack force. I'm also adding on a couple upgrades. Overall, you know, just keeping the money down as much as possible is really essential in games like these. You know, you don't want to allow him to kind of get any breathing space, right, as far as upgrades or anything along those lines. I'm kind of using the dropship to spot out what he has. And while I continue to harass kind of in the back here, eventually he does clean that force up. But I'm okay with it because I'm kind of playing for this pretty late game scenario. I'm getting that fourth base. I'm really setting up on the map really comfortably. Considering the supplies, I think I could probably just push in and kill him at almost any time, but I decided that like I kind of would rather, you know, take the fight. So this is where drops are really strong. When you drop a bunch of soldiers and raiders on top of the Mech units, you really can DPS them down really fast before, you know, anything. So I just cleaned that army up like extremely easily without even any trouble. I mean, now he's just in pretty much dire straits. He has very low supply. He has a couple catapults, and that's pretty much it. So I decided that I can probably just push in with this army and do enough damage to win the game here. I've got +2/+1, or actually just +2 attack with +1 range on these archers. So these archers are really strong at killing down these gatlings in general and most units in general. With +3 on the way, just a pretty strong force here. I'm just loading up my units into the dropships here. So the archers kind of come in on the front, do damage, while everything else just kind of drops around in the back. I think this is like really the ideal way to play as racks. This is textbook counter to Mech. And even though he's pretty well like situated here, I'm gonna be able to push in pretty effectively with just this strong archer soldier army, and I'm basically maxed out there at 146 supply. So So he does have catapults that kind of do a little bit of damage, and I do a little bit of dancing, but I'm able to focus down the workshops. One thing I do like about Rhinus's play here is he adds plenty of workshops, so he's able to really remax his catapults very well, even though he's on just really poor economy, in all honesty. So like you can see that honestly these mass catapults are actually doing some pretty good damage. What I do here is I just run my raiders and soldiers up the ramp here to try to get around the catapults. So even though these catapults actually do some pretty good execution on my forces in general, it's not really enough. Even though he honestly trades pretty decently, he loses a ton of workers here, and my raider soldiers is just too strong to really contest it. Of course, he does have a couple towers, so he doesn't totally lose everything. And catapults, are good units at defending. But at the end of the day, there's really not much he can do to defend when I have this much of an economy lead. You can see I'm taking positions on the top of the map. I have, basically every mining base I could possibly need in this game, and I'm able to just swarm his positions effectively. See, I just wanted to showcase in this game some of the strategies for engaging mech, because a lot of players will just die to straight up walking into catapult fire and stuff. You really don't want that to happen. You want to be able to drop, take engagements that you like. Open with those raiders to give yourself control early game, and that really is just what you need to do to win these engagements. Obviously, with this supply count, it's really hard for him to do anything at this point except mass catapult and try to do some sort of death push, but it's not going to work because honestly, I just have too many units. And I see kind of he's pushing with his army, but I see that he honestly doesn't have that much, so I'm just like, alright, we're pushing in. I even get some Raider Shrouds going here. Even though he does pick off a lot of my units here, I just Raider Shroud him to death, which is another really great upgrade for countering catapults, honestly. And that is GG. Yeah, so I hope you guys enjoyed that video. Hopefully it's a good showcase on how to cleanly take care of mech plays with your Rax forces. Hope you guys enjoyed that video, and I will catch you all next time.